Okay, welcome back. Today we're still working on this renovation. It's about an 875 square foot home. What we did is completely ripped out the living room, and you can see we got our trim up here. What we're doing today is we're going to be working on this window. It's a huge picture window. It had a windowsill on it. We ripped the windowsill out. They want more of the box look with the rustic stained pine around it. So what we're going to have to do with this window, we're going to have to caulk it real good so there's absolutely no draft. We measured from the window to the edge of the wall, which is 1.5 inches. So what we're going to do, we're going to cut a piece of stock to start our window frame on the inside. So what we're going to do is cut 1.5 inches here. This one here measures 1.75 inches. We're going to cut that, and then we're going to cut our top piece and build the inside of the window frame first, caulking it first and then putting the wood on. We'll nail the wood on with 2-inch finishing nails, and then we'll build on the outside where our frame is going to be, and we're going to add another piece of wood to build it up on the inside. Instead of being just 3/4 inch off of this bottom plate, we're going to go with 1.5 inches. So we put another piece of 3/4 inch in there, then doing our frame. So anyway, we're going to cut some stock. We're going to cut some pine down to 1.5 inches, and then we're going to install it around the window. Okay, so we measured a piece of stock here to fit along the bottom of the new window sill. So along here, so we're going to cut that to length and take a look at it. So we're still a little wide. We're going to have to take this back to this table saw. So we're still a little wide on this. It's about 1/8 inch too wide. We're going to have to take it back to the table saw, rip the 1/8 inch off, and that should work in this spot for the new window sill. Okay, before we install our new piece of wood, what we're going to do is we're going to take the caulking, we're going to run caulking down along this and put the wood in and nail it in. That way there it'll eliminate any type of draft coming in. Okay, now that we have the caulking in there, we install our new piece of wood to start our new windowsill. There's absolutely no air going to get through that at all. So what we do is we push tight on this so we know it's tight up against the window and against the rough seal, and we nail her down. Okay, there's the bottom one in. Now we're going to cut the top one to length and install it. So we measured inside and it comes to 60.5 inches. So we'll cut this stock to 60.5 inches. And that fits perfect. I'm just going to dry fit it here first to make sure. Okay, when we installed this board, we're about a 16th, just about a 16th of an inch out in the center. So what's going on is this is flush, that end's flush, this is out. So what we got a plane, we're gonna run our plane over it and knock it down. All right, so we run the plane over that, now we have it flush. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna do the sides, then we're gonna cut another piece of stock and build this up on the inside. So actually what we're doing here, we had 3/4 of an inch. We're looking for 1.5 inches all the way around. Then we're gonna install our molding. Okay, so now we got our rough framing in, and we're gonna have to take the plane and do a little bit of work here. But anyway, that's all caulked. There's no way any air can get through that now. This wood is nailed in real good. It's caulked around the window. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna cut some more stock to width, bring this out another 3/4 of an inch, which will give us 1.5 inches from our rough window opening. Okay, so we got our inner frame done now. It's all planed off. We had to work it so when we put the molding on, there was no gap between this part of the frame and your molding. So we got it planed down and we're ready to put the molding on. Now we'll have to stain the molding before we put it on, and then we'll put the molding on. The molding is going to be, I believe, about 5 inches wide. So it's going to be quite a wide molding that we're putting on. Anyway, we'll be back very shortly. Okay, we got our the molding ripped down. We put it through the table saw, ripped it down to 5 inches. So it's going to go, we're not going to go with 45, we're going to go with 90 joints on it. The top molding is going to overlap, probably 3/4 of an inch, ½ inch, 3/4 of an inch on the outside of the molding, and it's going to be about a 22 degrees cut on it. So it's going to be a little bit of a degrees cut. But anyway, what we're doing right now is we're staining our molding. Going to let it dry, then we'll cut it to length and put it up. So the stain we're using for this project on the molding is called a special walnut. So it's a darker stain. We was going to use a walnut stain, a dark walnut. It was black. It was just too dark for this. So what we're using it's called special walnut. It's a Minwax stain. And the stain we're using on the tongue and groove pine is a golden oak. So what we're going to have is a nice golden color on the flat, like on the tongue and groove pine, and on the molding is going to be a darker oak color. So it's going to be a good combination. It's going to work good. We'll finish staining this and then we'll put her up. Now the other part that has to be stained is the windowsill that we put in. Now what's going to happen is this here's about an inch, a little over 1.5 inches. That's going to be your sill. You're going to be able to see that. This part here, it's not going to matter. We'll probably stain it anyway. But the inside of the window has to be stained. The molding goes on. You won't be able to see any unstained wood. So we're going to start staining that now. Now this side piece, it's not going to be seen. Our molding is going to go up against it. It's just a good place to dry your brush out a bit so you don't have so much stain on it going in here, because we always can put more than one coat on, so it's not a big deal to put a lot on all at once, because we don't want a lot on. We want to put stain on in layers. So what I'm doing here is I'm just getting some out of my brush so I can go in here and stain the flat. The piece that's going to be seen. This the other side here, which is faced the front, is going to have the molding over it. So I'm just using it to dry my brush a little bit. Same with up here, just drying our brush. And we'll start staining the front, the flat that's going to be seen. These are really nice brushes. I'll tell you where I get them. I get them at the dollar store. They're $2 a piece. They're beautiful brushes for staining and even painting, like, you know, and $2. You know, an average brush costs you $9. So it's a real good deal. These brushes. Now, this bungalow was built in about 1960. This bungalow was built. It's built of fir. Firs, you can't pull a nail out of fir lumber. It goes so hard. What we're putting on is pine. We're going to be using oak, so it's you know. But all of this rough opening here is all fir. Beautiful, beautiful wood, and. With this house here, it's sheeted on the outside. So on the outside we have stucco. Then we have tar paper, or a windbreak, like a wrap. I think it's tar paper. Then we have 3/4 inch tongue and groove board outside, sheeting this thing. Then we have insulation. Then we have vapor barrier. Then we have 3/4 inch tongue and groove board sheeting the inside. Then we have drywall on top of that. This house would never blow over. It's just incredibly built strong. And that's the whole outer walls. Every outer wall is built that way. The ceiling is on the inside of the house is 5/8 plywood, then drywall. So you can get up in the attic and you can walk in between the joists. Because it's 5/8 plywood. So, but the only thing that is, if you put a light up, it makes it tough. Like you need a hole saw to cut through the plywood. It's not like in a conventional house of today where you can take a utility knife and cut through the drywall. But anyway, this house is very, very built, very, very good. Like it just, I think they built it in case there was a tornado. They didn't want it to blow over, because nowadays you don't sheet a house with 3/4 inch tongue and groove board. They sheet homes with 3/8 OSB, and you don't sheet the inside of a house. The inside of a house nowadays is just sheeted with drywall. But there's a coat on the inside. We're going to let that dry, weep it off, and apply another coat. And what we'll do is we'll finish staining our molding for it. So you stay tuned. We'll be right back. Okay, we're at the point now where what we're doing is we're staining all of our molding. Molding for the doors, the molding with the baseboard, the molding on the top. We're going to have a chair rail here with tongue and groove boards just below the window. So we stained our chair rail. Once this is all stained, we'll start installing it. It's easier to stain it and then make your cuts. Put a little stain on the ends where you cut, then to install it and then try to stain it. It's just not the way to do it. So anyway, what we're doing is we're staining all of our molding, and then we're going to cut it to length. We're going to install it, and then we're going to put the tongue and groove pine boards underneath the window with the chair rail. Now, I'd like to tell you this, all these pine came from Home Depot in Saskatoon. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful wood. It's so straight, you just pick it and throw it in your cart. You don't have to check every board to make sure it's straight, which everybody does, but very seldom do you find a board that's not usable, that you're not going to be able to use. There's no cracks in them. Like I say, you just grab it, and very seldom you find one that's warped that you're not going to be able to use. The wood is beautiful, and it's very reasonable priced, and we bought a ton of her. We bought a lot of pine. But anyway, we're going to be doing this whole house. We got the living room to do. Tomorrow, they'll be laying the carpet in the living room. Then we're going to the kitchen. The kitchen's going to be all tile, new tile over the sink area. It's going to be tile behind the stove, new floor. It's going to have crown molding with the tongue and groove pine around it. It's going to have new door moldings. It's going to have new base floor, new molding at the top. So we have a lot of work. Then we're going to the bathroom, or to the hallway, sorry, that connects the bathroom and the bedrooms. We'll be doing that hallway. That's going to be tongue and groove pine, also with the pine molding. The bedrooms are going to be done. They're going to be done in oak with a chair rail. The bathroom's going to be done. Right now in the bathroom, there's tile around the tub. The tile's going to be taken off. We're going to replace it with new sheeting around the tub, waterproof sheeting. Then it's going to have a tub surround put in. So there's a lot to be done in this house, and it's going to be done within the next 3 weeks. It'll be completely finished. So anyway, we're going to continue staining our molding here. Then we're going to cut it to length and install it. All right, our molding's drying. We stained our molding before we cut it. We cut it to length. Now the top molding, you can see, we got it a half an inch over each side. It's just a cosmetic thing that we do. So now we're going to install this top molding. Okay, we got our molding secured now. Now we'll just take a little stain and just put over where our nail holes are, just to cover them up. All right, now we'll put our bottom molding on. So you can see we got our molding on our windows. We got our top molding on between the wall and the ceiling. What we did on the top of the window molding, you can see the little lip that we put on, and we overhung it about a half of an inch. Now on the door, we haven't put the lip molding on yet, but you can see we overhung it the same way. There's the starting of the molding that we're going to be putting on between the ceiling and the wall. Then we have to run another piece of molding up along that area there. So what we're doing here, we're taking a piece of 1x4 pine. We cut it to length. We're putting it in the corner here to trim off the corner. And that's gonna be in the corner here, and we're gonna tack that in.